Hi, my name is Lindsay Perkins. My presentation is on feminism and queer theories in connection to the Danish Girl, the film, not the book. So what is the Danish Girl? It is a 2015 film by Tom Hooper. It is a fictional biographical picture and film of Lily Elb's life. This is Lily Elb within the film, played by Eddie Redmayne. So who is Lily Elb? Lily Elb was a Danish trans woman who lived from 1882 until 1931. Before her transition and struggle with her gender identity, she lived presenting masculine with her wife Gerda, who is seen here, played by Alicia Vikander, and worked as a rather successful painter. In the 1920s, she began her journey to becoming Lily and who she had always truly been. This marked the end of her painting career and the beginning of her transition. She died in 1931 as a result of an infection. This was brought on by her final sex reassignment surgery, which was having a uterus implanted within her. It was the fourth sex reassignment surgery she had, I believe. And her body rejected it, but she died having become the individual she had always wanted to be, who was Lily, a woman. There's three actors whose names I have. The film stars Eddie Redmayne, who plays Lily Elb in her masculine presence before her transition. I will not say that because it is a dead name. Alicia Vikander, who plays Gerda Wegener, Lily's wife for a period of the film, and then eventual ex-wife. And then Matthias Schoenaerts, who plays Hans Axgel, who is Gerda's relationship after her split from Lily. These three are the most primarily involved in portraying Lily's transitional period and her journey towards the end of her life, which is also towards the end of the movie. And so we have the feminist theory. So the gender aspect of it is what I will be focusing on for it. And with the gender aspect, it is understood that sex and gender are not necessarily the same, but are separate entities. This divide can be seen directly in Lily's biological gender, amab, assigned male at birth, and her gender as female and feminine presenting. Jeffrey Andrew Weinstock, the man who wrote our textbook Pop Culture for Beginners, supports this with his statement mentioning the fact that such options exist demonstrates a growing social awareness that there is no inherent connection between anatomical sex and gender, Weinstock 70. And then we will bring in Lily's gender identity and her journey towards discovering that and accepting it. Her identity did not fit into the status quo of the 1920s, and that is witnessed with her multiple doctor visits with different practitioners. And that is portrayed throughout the film as they will diagnose her with something physical or psychologically wrong with her, rather than trying to comprehend and understand what she is addressing with them. The main consensus from the ones in Denmark was that she was mentally ill and needed to be institutionalized. And once she's able to meet with a German doctor who listens to her and attempts to draw an understanding of her struggle and her identity, she is able to begin her transitional journey in the process of becoming physically a woman as she desires. The German doctor is the one who takes her out of Denmark to have her sex reassignment surgeries and begin that process of doing all of that, and it's extensive and leads to her death. And this image on here is at the beginning of Lily's self-discovery of her gender identity and journey as she is filling in for her wife Gerda's model for painting, and she understands that the dress and the stockings that she is putting upon herself is something that she likes and is something that fits for her. So now we come to queer theory, which is mainly focused around Lily's relationship with Gerda and the changing of her marriage from a heterosexual one with her former male identity to one that is homosexual, as they are both women. So this is a theory that fits into the themes of the film rather well, seeing as the main character Lily falls within the LGBT community, or LGBT plus community. Sorry for misspeaking. She is the T. She's a trans woman. Her relationship with her wife Gerda is not a focal point of the film, as her transition is the main story. It is understood that while Lily is discovering her gender identity and who she truly is, the pair are still residing together in a marital state. They're still married, they still live with one another, they're still heavily involved within each other's lives. The moments where Gerda becomes upset with Lily for engaging in relationships outside of their own leans into the normalcy and social construction that is emphasized with queer theory, as they are no longer fitting into the norm of the Wagoners. It is becoming Lily is her own separate person outside of this, and never really was the one involved. It was who she was before that was. The pair were married before Lily's discovery, and for them to no longer be together, despite her existence, does not fit into that for Gerda. And this brings me to queering, which is being talked about in connection to the film's characters' romantic relationships with one another. Through the film, after Lily's discovery and appearance and identity becoming something of who she is, it becomes normal to see her and Gerda still in this marital space with each other, despite the fact that the two women would not have been allowed to be married in the 1920s. As Weinstock writes, to queer something is to look at it in such a way that it becomes strange, and this often involves questioning the foundations on which a belief or idea rests. Weinstock 75. The film subsets these kind of connotations of what was normal and allows the audience to witness these intimate spaces and self-discovery moments that eventually lead up to the pair splitting and finding romantic relationships with men, but still remaining amicable with each other. As their relationship is the thing that becomes questioned, not necessarily by the audience, but by them in terms of if they can still be with one another, given the fact that Lily was not the one married to Gerda. And Gerda does not necessarily want to be in a relationship with Lily. She wants who Lily was previously, and Lily does not want to be that. The scene I have down here is one of the final ones of the two in a romantic-esque relationship still in a marital space before their eventual split from each other in their pursuit of separate relationships with men. Thank you. That was my presentation. I very much like the film The Danish Girl. I'm doing a different presentation on it for my women in film class. And the film also has Amber Heard in it. So if you do not want to support her, I would suggest pirating the film. There is also a lot of controversy around it, so pirating it would probably be the best thing to not support it in those sorts of ways. My works cited page, I don't believe I quoted from the second source, but I did reference it. And that's the end. Thank you.